Welcome back to Toolkit. Today we're going to go over another great video on this used 2018 X739. Today, with the help of my shade tree and my limited mechanic skills, we're going to do a little bit of rehab on some of the cosmetics. Additionally, we're going to do some of the periodic maintenance that we need to do on this machine. So we're going to do a little bit of maintenance on this machine. So one of the first things I want to do, I'm going to pull off the deck. So I think it's just easier to do maintenance overall on this machine with the deck off. I am going to need to level the deck and maybe change out some of these gauge wheels. But at the end of the day, I think first things first, I'm going to get this deck taken off. So again, this is not a complete video on how to take off the deck. I'll run through it really quick. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen these gauge wheels. This is going to allow that deck to come all the way down to the earth. I'm going to go ahead and rotate my dial down to the drive over deck position. So that will allow it to go all the way down to the bottom. And then we'll disconnect it from there. Okay, deck's all the way down to the ground. My park brake is set, so I'm going to jump off. All right, I'm going to unlatch it. So if you do it on one side, it should unlatch both sides. Now I'm gonna go ahead and pull the front off. That front bracket is just a pull pin, drops right off. Let's go ahead, brake off, throttle up, put my differential lock on, and drive backwards. Pretty easy, all right? So that gives us a little bit more space underneath to get some work done. Plus it starts to warm up the engine because we are going to change the oil in this unit. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and take the machine around for a couple of laps because I wanna warm that oil, warm the fluids up because I'm gonna change them. Got it warmed up. Pretty much up to operating temperature is what we want. So I did drive it a little bit before off of camera, did it for a couple of rounds here. I think the engine oil is going to be sufficiently warm. Again, why do we want that? We want the oil to flow seamlessly out of the machine. Also, it's nice to get it churned up right before you go ahead and expel that oil. So first off, I'm filming this by myself, so hopefully you can see everything that I'm seeing here. So first thing I want to do is I want to drain the oil out of this. So I'm going to go on the other side. I'll show you this really quick, but I'll open the fill tube so I have great, good airflow. But as you see right here, there's just this little drain tube. And honestly, all you got to do, man, that's so simple. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take off the fill cap, so allow for good airflow. And then as you can see right here, we've got the engine oil filter. So I want to make sure that my drain, I'm going to shift it over so it's directly underneath. There is a nice little drain tube. Not sure if you can see it, but it leads it down below. And so what I'm going to do now is take off this oil filter. Nice. They only put it on hand tight. And as you can see, it's making a little bit of a mess on my hydraulic steering on there. But it comes off nice and easy. Throw that down in here. Yeah, that oil was ready to be changed. Definitely a little dark. Let's talk about how easy John Deere makes this to change oil and do regular maintenance on these machines. And so you've probably seen these on my site before. We've talked about, home maintenance kits. These are a great, great little kit. So it's going to have engine oil. In this particular case, it's going to have engine oil, fuel filter, air filter, pre-cleaner off on the air filter. It's going to have both of the spark plugs on there. If I didn't say oil filter on there. Anyway, long and short, everything you need to do your periodic maintenance is right in the box. So super simple. And they've done some really thoughtful things and got little replacement parts on there so I can replace the little holders on the fuel filter and such. So looks like we're about done. We're starting to come to a light drip on our oil. So I'm going to go ahead and clean off the face of this real quick, and we're going to go ahead and install our brand new oil filter. Just like to make sure it's nice and clean so we have good contact. It's got a little bit of muck around it. It's not bad. I can get in there, get some of that excess oil out of there. All right, so take a little bit of this oil, crack one of them. So again, this is it only takes about 2 quarts. All right, a little bit of that oil on my finger. We're gonna run it around the edge of the oil filter. And I think this is kind of a mixed bag. This one goes onto the side, so I don't think I'm gonna go ahead and put oil into this filter already. Maybe just a little bit, just to get it kind of coated in there. And then go ahead and be careful, don't want to cross thread. Get that oil filter started. Get it about hand tight. All right, cool. All right, oil filter's back on. All right, now what we can do is we're gonna go close all of our drain tubes on the other side, and we're gonna start to fill this thing back up. So you're just gonna see my hands in action here, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my funnel inside. We're gonna go ahead and fill up. I'm gonna add 1 quart right now. All of our drain tubes and oil filters back on. Some nice fresh oil in here. Again, this takes 2 quarts of oil, or approximately 2 quarts of oil. So I'm gonna throw the first one in. I am gonna check my dipstick really quick, just to make sure, because this is the first time I've changed the oil in this. All right, look on my dipstick. We're still no oil on the dipstick, which is to be expected for a 2 quart system. Go ahead and crack that 2nd quart. We're gonna go ahead and add half of it. Go check my dipstick real quick. Okay, starting to get a little bit of oil on the bottom L, so that is absolutely right on target. This one's an easy fill, so perfect. We're about halfway up. Looks like it's gonna use the whole thing, because I know that we still have to fill up the filter. Awesome. Okay, 2 quarts and an oil filter. We are done with the oil change. We got to just check it out real quick. We'll run it for a few seconds. Make sure we run it through the system and then double check. Okay, let's check that dipstick. Clear it off really quick. Throw it back in there. Perfect, right to the high mark. Okay, I'm not sure you can see that, but there it is, right to the high mark. Trust me on this. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and move all of my oil stuff out of the way. Go ahead and fire up the machine really quick. All right, killer. That'll darken up the oil a little bit. Let's check that dipstick one more time. We're beautiful, about 3/4 of the way up the stick, so we think we should be all right. Awesome, we'll run it for a little bit longer later on. Might have to add just a dash more, but it looks like we're ready to go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna go over, probably one of the easier things on here, is the air filter. So pretty simple. Got a twist screw on the top. First time I'm doing this actually, pop that off. I did check the filter actually, I do remember that now. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, rotate this wing nut right all the way off. Pretty simple. Throw that on top. Let's go ahead and pull that air filter out, being careful not to disturb all the dust that's in here. There is a little bit in there. Looks fairly clean in there, maybe a little dust. Honestly, this air filter doesn't look too bad, but since I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and change it out. So, again, in that LG244 kit, pops out, brand new filter, beautiful pink. Awesome. I'm just gonna take a wipe around here just a little bit, just to get some, there's a little bit of debris down in there. Not bad. So, clear that out just a little bit. All right, before I do too much more damage down in there, pull this out of the plastic. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the pre-filter. So pre-filter just goes on the outside. Probably be easier before I put it in there. Just a piece of foam. I like when they have a pre-filter on them though. Makes it a little easier and it keeps that filter a little longer. Gives it a little bit more longevity. All right, there is a right way and a wrong way to do this. There is a rubber gasket at the bottom, so that's going to create a seal down at the bottom. I set that on, place it right there. Take my wing nut, place it back on. Screw it down. Perfect. All right, and then you can see my case, my cover is coming off a little bit. So the plastic shield is coming off, and guess what? I got a new one of these. So at this point right now, since this was going that direction, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup up here, just so it's nice and easy. I'll put a little alcohol on this in a second, but I wanna put that sticker on. Again, a little fanatical when it comes to my equipment. I just want it to look pristine, and that sticker was kind of driving me nuts. So for a very little price, I was able to get another sticker. So let me go grab that. I'm gonna go ahead and clean off the top just a little bit with some alcohol. That'll help clean it up and make that sticker adhere a little bit longer, give me a little bit more longevity out of it, so I don't have the same problem that we did before. So I'm gonna do this right on the machine just because it's gonna hold it stable for me. All right, we'll let that alcohol dry really quick. As you can see, got myself a new sticker, 3M backing. It is the same sticker that we had. If I remember right, it went just like that on that way. Okay. So we'll do 1/2 and 1/2. A little risky business here. Line her up just nice and pretty. Pretty darn good. A couple little small air bubbles. Let's wipe it down at the top. Okay. All right, there it is. Fresh, new, and it looks brand new as well. That's great. So next thing we've got to do is we're going to take off this fuel filter. So I'm going to go ahead and take these two tabs and pry them away from this retaining bracket, okay? Nice thing is they've included those tabs in the kit. So just got to pay attention to the direction of flow. And so the easy way is to look on the other one. It was definitely running right, so we're gonna go ahead and pay attention to this. So the flow is going this direction. So we're gonna have this one go this direction as well. These are pinch tubes. These are a little bit of a pain in the neck. So I'm gonna push on the back side of this, and then I'm gonna wiggle it around a little bit. And that should hopefully allow me to get rid of that. And so I'm gonna throw that on really quick, not to make a mess. Perfect, so it just snaps on. Do the bottom one really quick, pop that one out. A little bit of fuel, and then pop the new one in. Route our wire and hose here, around the back. And we're gonna go ahead and push those push tabs onto that retaining bracket. There's one. There's the other. Okay, so fairly simple, fairly straightforward. I'm gonna go ahead and prime my system, turn the key on. It's gonna allow that to pump up. I'm gonna do that a couple of times just to fill that fuel filter up. I'm not seeing any leaks, that's a good thing. All right, let's try to fire it up. Okay, fuel filter change, that's pretty easy. So air filter, fuel filter, oil filter, those are the three big ones. The only thing I've got left is spark plugs. Let's go ahead and go grab a spark plug wrench. Next thing we're gonna do is spark plugs. Fairly easy. Spark plugs are relatively easy to do. Pull off the caps. I'm going to inspect the caps. Those look good. Wires still look good. No frays, no problems there. Let's go ahead and back the spark plug out. It's a good inspection point. This is a 13/16 spark plug, and the kit gives you a couple of nice NGK plugs to replace it with. Let's pull this out. Spark plugs can tell you a lot about it, about the engine, whether it's running lean or running rich. Man, those look actually pretty dang good. I think these have been replaced relatively quickly. They don't look bad at all. A little bit of carbon buildup on them, but not horrible. Just want to look. I always take a look. You know, you never know. The gap could have been smacked around in the box. It looks like it's properly gapped. We'll go ahead and start this one by hand. Let's go ahead and thread it down in there. It is a 2-cylinder machine, so I've got one more spark plug on the other side to do, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'll go ahead and get that knocked out. Consider the spark plugs done. We're going to just snug it down. There's a little crush washer in there. You just want to snug it. You don't want to get it too crazy. You don't want to crack the head or anything like that. Long and short, throw that spark plug wire back on, make sure it clicks and engages. Same thing on the other side, good to go. Okay, at this point, I'm gonna go around and do some greasing on the machine. I'm pretty sure I've found most of the grease points on this machine. I would say reference your owner's manual. Unfortunately, I didn't get a owner's manual with this one, so I do have a way to get one online. I'm gonna go ahead and reference it online. But in the short term, I'm just gonna go around and I'm gonna clean off some of these grease zerks. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot a couple of pumps of grease inside of these, just so I see a little bit shoot out. This should be good. Awesome, I'll do that on the other side. I'll keep working my way around. We'll get the machine all greased up. So next thing we're gonna knock out, we're gonna replace some taillights. So I don't know if you can see it, but we've got a little bit of crack in here. They just need some refreshing. So I pulled off the 2 bolts on the bottom. I'll do this on the next one here for you guys. Pulled off the 2 bolts on the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the lamp so they just twist just like any other bulb. And unfortunately, it looks like this top one was broke. Good thing for me that I have the ability to get a wrench up here. I'm not sure I'll be able to do that without taking this back fender off next time, but at least the bolt is salvaged. So there we go. All right, so just goes in just like this. I'm actually gonna get some material and clean this off a little bit. Take a little alcohol. Clean that up just a little bit. A little grime from over the years. All right, that one's cleaned up. We'll go ahead. Let's see if I can't manipulate my hand underneath here. Man, that's gonna be a pain because that fuel is right there in the way. I just dropped it. Let's see if we can get a wrench up in there. Nope. I have to be careful not to break it. Okay, time to move on. We are going to go ahead and put on some armrests on this unit. So I got a T27 Torx head. I'm gonna go ahead, take off this back panel, that in the cup holder. I don't know if I'm gonna be super critical why these don't come with armrests right out of the gate. Pretty premium machine, quite honestly, to not have armrests. But relatively inexpensive to add them, so not that bad. All right, perfect. Took the back off. They're already pre-drilled back here for the armrests. So we will go ahead and clean up a little bit back here while we're here. Got a little bit of a zip tie on here. We'll snap that off. Yeah, be nice and tight. Looks to be a 12 millimeter. All right, those three are ready. Let's go ahead and throw that side on really quick. Push it in. Rest are on. Let's go ahead and put the back on. Beautiful. All right, they're on and they're adjustable. My stickers over time have started to peel, right? So they kind of came like this, probably going down the freeway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna yank these things off, and then nice and slow, try to get as much of that sticky stuff off as possible. It's all right, I got some new ones. So I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup. I've got some alcohol, start with that. I might need to use some of this Goo Gone stuff. I don't know if you guys have ever used it, but it works fairly good. Actually probably gonna start with that because that's pretty nasty on there. Let it sit for a little bit. Yeah, that stuff it eats it up. It's also eating into the cuts in my fingers. Doing a nice job, and it's not hurting the paint, which is the good thing. All right, we'll let that dry, and I think we're ready to install a sticker. Or decal. I'm sure somebody will comment about that. Here's the fresh one. So I think the key is to put it on nice and even and straight. Looks like we're all dried up. I'm gonna go ahead and test fit. Yep, that's the one. So we want to be just 1/8 of an inch off there. That'll go all the way to the back. Cool. Okay, let's go and do the front part first. Key is to try to make it as even as possible. So far, so good. And just like that. Ta-da! We'll do the same thing on the other side. Should be brand new. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed me going through a couple of these, reconditioning items. I'll tell you, I really love this kind of thing, just bringing it back, restoring it back to its former glory. Now, you can see it's not perfect. And I will also share one thing that I did off camera is I went ahead and replaced those gauge wheels. Not very interesting to take a bolt out and put another bolt back in. So I did that off camera, but I did replace the gauge wheels on those because they had been eaten through pretty well. So anyway, long and short, that's the machine. What a great unit. I think the next video we're going to go ahead and show you it in action and then give you some of my, my heartfelt true feelings about the machine. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We'll create this content for you as long as you keep wanting it. Comment down below. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for joining us on Papé Toolkit. Hi, my name is Jason Hughes. I'm a territory manager out of Eugene, Oregon. I'm also a large property owner and own a lot of the equipment that you see featured in these videos. I hope you find this content helpful. If you have any questions, please comment below.